In this video, we're going to be talking about pronouns in French. So, French has multiple pronouns, obviously, but here are some of the main ones that we're going to be discussing today, and these are what you'll use most of the time when you're speaking in French. So, there's je, tu, il, elle, nous, vous, il, and elle, because the S is going to be silent here. So, the what I've made here is a chart, right? Or table, which is talking about the whether it's singular, plural, and first, second, and third person, right? So here's singular first person, singular second person, singular third person, plural first person, plural second person, plural third person, and each of these has a different use, and then that's what we're going to be talking about for each of these pronouns. So the first one is je. Je means me or I. It's first person singular, and it's pretty straightforward, just like in English, I, me. Next one is tu. So tu is a bit complicated, right? So it's second person singular. It means you in English, but you're only going to use it when you're speaking informally, right? So in English, you only have you for formal, informal. Doesn't matter who you're talking to, right? You're talking to your boss, you'll say you. You're talking to your son, you'll say you. Talking to your friend, you'll say you. But here, you're only going to use tu when you're talking to someone who's either like your friend, your peers, or your brother, but not if you're talking to someone your senior, like your parents or your boss. And then, then you would use vous, which we'll go into more detail about later. Il and elle mean him and sorry, he and she respectively. Il meaning he, elle meaning she, and because French is gendered, right? It also applies to objects. So some objects will use il, and some objects will use elle. In English, we only have it. It doesn't know whether and because in English we don't have masculine, feminine. Objects are just objects. That's why they're objects. But French is not like that. French, some objects are il, masculine, some objects are elle, feminine, and I'm going to make another video discussing some common objects and nouns and which gender they are. Nous means we, first person plural. Again, pretty straightforward. We as in a group of people, including yourself. So like, if I'm talking about me and my family, that'd be we, right? This is vous. Vous is either the second person singular or second person plural, right? So what that means is if you're talking to someone to your senior, as I talked about in when I was talking about tu, right? So if I'm talking about talking to my boss, if I'm talking to my parents, if I'm talking to my um, grandparents, right? Then all of those times I'd use vous, right? To say you when I'm talking to them. Or I could use vous to refer to a group of people, right? Even to a group of friends or a group of anyone would always be vous, right? You plural. So that's something very important to note, whether using vous or tu when you're talking to a group or a single person. Finally, we're going to talk about il and elle. So as I said before, the S is silent, so il, elle. It's third person plural, okay? And there's a certain um, uh, nuance to when you use each one. So elle is always going to be only for a group of girls or a group of feminine objects, right? So if I'm talking to a group of girls, then I'd use elle. But if I'm talking to a group of boys, I'd use il. Now, the weird thing is that if I'm talking to a group of girls and boys, right, or a group of objects which are masculine and feminine, then I'd only use il, not elle, and there's no third pronoun. It's always going to be il to refer to a group of mixed gender, right? So that's the finish of this video, and I hope you were able to learn something. And the next video I'm going to make is going to be discussing some common objects in French and their genders. Right? Thank you for watching.